Welcome everyone to Sharing Soulful Stories. Today I'm here with Lisa Kotz. Thank you for joining us today, Lisa.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Jo. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Amazing. Let me tell everyone a little bit more about you. So Lisa is an intuitive healer, Reiki Master, claircognisant and clairsentient Lemurian Priestess, and an alchemical sacred space holder. Lisa is also an intensive care nurse, certified integrative health coach, and an entrepreneur. Lisa has a special gift of holding sacred space for others to guide multidimensional healing, transformation, and evolution, both in her private sessions with her clients and her professional nursing practice. She's passionate about embodying compassion, empathy, and love, while maintaining discernment and honouring her personal sovereignty and teaching others to do the same. Lisa's work on Earth during this time of shift and evolution is to support the alignment of our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies in order to live fully and freely from our hearts. What a beautiful bio, Lisa. Thank you again for joining us today.
No problem.
And as you know, we're here to share different viewpoints on spirituality and what it means to people. So I would love to open with the question, what does spirituality mean to you?
I've sat with this question for a little while, Jo, because for me it's changed and moved throughout my life. But for right now, spirituality is the conscious integration and embodiment of all that you are. And I say that to allow expansion within that, and as well as kind of a mental grasp of what it is. So that's what it is to me. And spirituality is the state of having that in your life, and it can look different for different people, but for me it's about constantly allowing flow and evolution and learning and growing with tools. And that has also changed for me over time. But essentially, spirituality is the conscious embodiment of possibility as well. And that's the best answer I have for that one.
I think that's a perfect answer. Everybody's answers are so different, so it's so wonderful to hear different flavors of. I feel that almost all of them have this same sort of underlying core a little bit, but it's really different ways of explaining it. So no, I really like that. Thank you. And that embodiment, I love that you added in that embodiment piece.
Yeah.
I wonder, can you let us know, has spirituality always been part of your life?
Yes, but I didn't know it as such when I was younger, perhaps. And I've been moving back through when I was a child and just really touching on those times that have stuck in my memory. And those times have been when I had experiences of like really vivid dreams that were reoccurring when I was younger, as well as just like interactions with other people and my family members and certain events that I seem to have had. And I'm sort of weaving a few things into what I'm saying now, but I seem to have had an awareness of more than what my physical surroundings were showing me and telling me. And so I just thought that that was how everyone saw the world. And so looking back now, I would say that spirituality has definitely always been with me. It's just now through, moving through as a teenager, it was a time when the internet wasn't even a thing. Facebook didn't even exist. If you wanted to find out something a bit witchy or a bit crystally, you had to go like half an hour on a bus to go to a special shop. So I was interested in all of those things when I was younger, but I didn't really see myself as spiritual. I just was interested in different things. Yeah, so
yeah, perfect. No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I wonder then, can you tell us a bit more and share your story of how it's unfolded since then, in terms of, you know, in particular, any highs and lows on that path?
This is a great question, Jo. Thank you for asking me, because it's actually helping me to reflect on how much and how far I've actually journeyed to this point right now, and all the amazing people I've met along the way, including you. So yeah, so when I was a small child, I had this dream, and I know now that I was actually in a different space, a different dimension, but the feeling that I had, it was like my whole body was vibrating, but I was asleep. That's how I reconciled that as a 4-year-old. But I realized that I was actually with my guide, one of my spirit guides, and I've I've had experiences since, and the same vibration was there, and it clicked to me later that was, I call him then, as it is now. So I think that's one of the biggest pieces when I was a very small child as to my connection. I think I've always been a very sensitive person, sensitive in terms of I feel everything, I feel the emotions of others, I feel subtle changes in the air, in group dynamics before other people even realize what's happening. I have been sensitive, and in some ways it's been overwhelming, and especially when I was younger I didn't really understand it, and I didn't really understand how to be hygienic with my energy and discerning with my boundaries and my personal, my personal sovereignty really is what I'm talking about. It was wide open, like, I would try and fit in with the group because I felt I was always weird or a bit kooky or a bit like quiet, or whatever word was not what the group was that I thought that the group wanted. So yeah, it was sort of this dynamic play between trying to fit in but trying to be myself, trying to be independent, forging my own way, yet terrified that I wasn't going to be accepted. Quite confusing at times, but a little bit, but yeah, it obviously wouldn't change anything because it's made me who I am at this very moment in time. So yeah, just thinking back when I was a teenager, like I said before, I just had little feelers going out. I was like, oh, crystals, they're cool. Actually, when I was a bit younger, probably around 8 or 9, I would go to the mineral and rock shop and go, oh, that's really pretty. I have no idea what it's called. I just like it. I'm going to take you home, and I had this collection of crystals. Yeah, and when I was a bit older, wanting to know a lot about Wicca. Wicca was really like, I'm talking like mid 90s, like really like kind of out there, but a little bit niched, and a little bit like you had to really know where to go to find the information. But I was feeling a bit of a disconnect there because the books I was reading were Northern Hemisphere based, and I've still got them now, but they're very much of the Celtic and Anglo spirituality lineage. So I was connecting on some levels, but on other levels, in terms of the seasons and different things like that, I didn't really. It was more of a mental exercise than actually taking it in for myself to practice. And so I did a bit of that for a while, and a bit of astrology, like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then I guess I shut a lot of that down when I was in my teenage years. I just wanted to fit in, be accepted, all of those things that many of us experience, I guess. And Yeah, and then when I became a young adult and started nursing, my whole energy, I realize now in retrospect, but my whole energy, what I did was basically armored myself quite heavily to kind of just not survive, but feel like I was contained, but still being able to be effective for the work I was doing. And also in my personal life, I had a really quite abusive, awful relationship that I was armored so heavily and so disconnected from my own heart that I didn't realize how unhealthy it was until the very end. So kind of those two things were happening simultaneously: my work as a registered nurse in intensive care and my relationship at the time. And the spirituality, it just was a faraway cloud. Like there was no conscious connection to that, knowing all the time that there was many other connections happening. But for me, I just said, no, that's not for me. And a few things like experiencing somebody having Reiki in the intensive care was the first time I actually found out about Reiki. And at the time I was like, what is this going to do? This person's body's broken. How is this going to help this poor person here? What a crock of shit. Sorry, can I swear?
That's okay. A couple of people have done that, so I'm going to maybe have to put a little warning. The word shit is in a few of these. Sorry.
There was no way other to describe that. That was what was my thought process at the time. And I look back now and I just laugh at myself then, because I give lots of compassion and tenderness to myself then, because I was actually in a really awful place and I was very angry at a lot of things. So I guess there was the spirit team that I have, they've been placing things along the way and I've gone nope, or oh, maybe. And that's sort of how I've rolled with my spirituality up until probably about 5 or 6 years ago, when that relationship ended, and it was a major low and a major opening. It was the crackening. It cracked me open. It was raw. It was horrific. It was what I needed, and it was the healing of my personal karma in certain ways, as well as the experience that I could receive so that I could better understand and have empathy for other people. Undertaking major life upheavals, all sorts of things. I just come from a different place after that experience when I interact with any person. So and then after that I had shut the door on being the people pleaser, the little mouse in the cupboard, just being too scared, and I slowly was calling back the pieces of me that were scattered everywhere. And that's still a continuous process, by the way. But so yeah, having a spiritual journey, whether I was in contact with it or not, it's just sort of flowed like this, up and down. So yeah, many other highs and many other lows, and actually I can't really recall any significant ones to share, but yeah.
Brilliant. Perfect. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I particularly love that you touched on that wanting to fit in piece, because I feel that's a lot of people have experienced that. And when they're looking at, maybe exploring this further, there is this big fear of what will other people think? That's not really what the group vibe is, and I want to fit in, that sort of almost tribal need that we have. So yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. What I would now be really interested in, and hopefully for everyone listening as well, is, given all of that, what does spirituality sort of practically look like in your life at the moment? How do you weave it into life and work?
This has been the biggest area of growth for me in the past several years. I realized that I had really maxed out my mental body in many ways, from academic stuff with nursing, as well as just reading and just trying to like think my way spiritual. You're nodding, Joe. You can identify with what I'm saying. So spirituality practically for me means not only thinking about the aspects, the tools, the emotions, the experiences, but moving it down in my body, not from up here, actually speaking what it is that I know to be true, rather than speaking what I think other people want to hear. That's a major challenge for me, but it's worth it to persevere with the discomfort. Also, when I put my hand over my heart and feel what this question is asking me, what it means is that is what is up here and here sitting right on my chest when I'm doing the things that I'm doing, when I'm saying the things I'm saying, when I'm making the decisions that I'm making, when I'm choosing to do one thing over another. How does it feel in my body, on my chest? So that's a spiritual practice at play every day in my life. And then there's other things like changing many things in my lifestyle. For example, what time I go to sleep, for example. That's a very simple thing, but I realized my sleep quality wasn't as good as it could be. Shift work changes a bit of that, but sleep is the time when I feel the most restored and the most connected to the non-physical parts of me. And so just improving that and making sleep a sacred experience has really changed a lot of other things for me too. So and that's all of these things are a work in progress. I don't always do them perfectly every day of every minute. And other things, so feeling into the colours and the tones and the vibrations that are part of me, and incorporating those things into my physical space, and wearing the colours that I feel most aligned to, and going to those places that I really enjoy to go to out in nature. So all of these things, they're not, they don't really cost anything. They don't, they're not high-tech things. They're just personal shifts that mean that I can feel more balanced and more centered in my heart. And then I know that I'm in alignment with my spirituality, and that's for my best. So yeah,
thank you, that's great, because they are all such sort of, I want to use the word easy, but I know to be disciplined with things isn't easy, and when we're not aware of it to begin with, that's not necessarily easy. But that idea that you mentioned of taking a moment just to see, how does this sit with my body? I know what I'm thinking, I know what I'm saying. Is that actually sitting with me and feeling good in my body, or is that causing me to feel discomfort? I love that. That's such a simple possibility that might work for some people. And improving your sleep, how wonderful. And just choosing close, that, you know, starting to be aware of what makes you feel good and what feels in alignment. I do like the word in alignment a lot. So thank you so much for sharing all of that.
Okay. Can I just say something else,
please.
Jo?
Yeah.
Something just came to me just now. I want to just really differentiate between feeling discomfort but knowing it's in alignment versus knowing when it's absolutely not no-go zone for you. So just to differentiate between, okay, this is new, it doesn't feel completely comfortable yet, I know it's right. So just that subtle difference.
Yeah.
Because it's just to clarify how that is for me. Yeah.
Yes, no, that's perfect. That's a really good point about that. Am I just nervous here and I need some courage to go through with it, and that's why it feels uncomfortable? Or it feels uncomfortable because it's something I need to explore that's coming up for me that maybe needs some attention? Or is this like, no, that's not where I want to go in my life, or that's not a choice I want to make? Perfect. Thank you. As we sort of get towards the end of this interview, I'd love to ask you if there's any advice you would have for people that are sort of just starting to get curious and explore spirituality and what it means to them.
Yeah, I think this is a really beautiful and juicy question, because it's kind of what I would have liked to have heard maybe 20 years ago. So I think from my experience, it's just following the breadcrumbs of what's being put in front of you and seeing where it takes you, and always checking in with your body about how that experience is, or currently whatever you're moving through, checking in with your body. The most simple thing that I could advise someone to do is to just go outside into nature. Get out, turn your phone off for half an hour, turn the computer off, turn the TV off. Have some space with yourself, and this might be uncomfortable, but it is actually the first step to allowing your senses to open up and your channels to open up, so that you can actually step into a deeper part of you. And nature, Mother Earth, she's just there every single day waiting to help you. All you need to do is actually say yes. So I would really encourage people to explore their natural environment, their own garden, what sort of plants are in there. Have a look at the natural environment through different eyes, instead of just going past it and not really looking at it. So that's probably the best place to start. And also in terms of connecting with other humans, because that's also very important. Have a discernment about where and who and for how long you want to spend your energy with. So, excuse me. So, be mindful, I guess, around who it is and where it is and what activity you're actually doing, and check in with yourself as well as to how that was for you. And just building more meaningful connections rather than, volume, or just because you think you should, do a certain thing. So yeah, just those two things are really quite powerful, and they're available to you every day, I would think.
Yeah, I love that. And off the back of this, there'll be a Facebook group. So for people that are looking to find people where they can have conversations and play with ideas, where they're not feeling as nervous that they'll be instantly poo-pooed or whatever, that will be the space for that. Thank you for all of that. I love both of those ideas, are really exceptional, wonderful ideas. If people would just say, yes, I can do that. I can disconnect from everything for a half an hour and go out and connect to Mother Nature and to myself. That's beautiful. Fantastic. So thank you for being here, Lisa. If people are interested in finding out more about you and your work, where can they go to find out?
Thank you, Jo. So I have a website, insidetheprism.com. So that's my online home. I think it's in a state of evolution as I am too. So that might be looking different if you visit that in the future to right now. And also on Instagram, you can find me inside.the.prism on Instagram.
Perfect.
And I share just some of my everyday sort of life moments on Instagram, so you can get to know me a bit better there.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I'll put both of those below the video. So once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all your ideas and wisdom and story and sharing with us today. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Jo. It's been a pleasure and an honour.
You're so welcome. I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.